Alright guys, so that's one chair down, one chair to go. Basically all I'm wanting to do for this second chair is have the same, make it from this chair to create the second chair. The second chair is basically all we're trying to do is take this basic object here and just by adding a few more edge loops and extruding a little bit, we want to basically create something with a higher level of detail, something that's a lot more interesting. Because let's face it, this blocky little chair, there really isn't too much to it. But this other chair looks a little more interesting. It's got a few more curves to it. It's got more depth to it. Looks a lot more comfortable actually than this kind of Lego block looking thing. So what we're going to do is just take this basic chair here, and I'm going to duplicate it. So Control D. Hold down X, and I'm just going to slide it into place. That'll work. And then do the same thing on this side, so we have it kind of freed up. Alright, so what I want to do with this chair is add some more detail to it. Okay, there's a lot of different ways we can do this, but I'm just going to go through this kind of briefly. A couple of ways that you can do that. First thing is I want to use the Insert Edge Loop tool in order to add some more resolution. The Insert Edge Loop tool, while isn't not on our little bank here, it can be added to this bank, but it is definitely on, if we're in polygon mode, it's under the Edit Mesh menu, and then you can come down here and it's under Insert Edge Loop tool. It has a lot of little functions. There's a good little video you can watch on it. The Insert Edge Loop tool is one of the core plugins or features or tools or whatever you want to call them in Maya that you'll end up getting a lot of use out of. I tend to actually take mine and edit. Was it Control Shift click, adding it to my wonderful little bar up here, so that I have it right where I want it, usually right next to extrude. Relative distance from edge, equal distance from edge, multiple edge loops. There's a whole bunch of different bells and whistles you can use on this. For the moment, I'm just going to stick to relative distance from edge just to add one edge loop at a time. And what I want to do is I'm just going to click, and you see this little green line that appears? I'm just going to click and add this green line to the model. Okay, and what has happened is it's actually dividing our mesh. It's adding more resolution here. So divide line, right? So I've now got these four little clusters here. Now what I want to do is double click these four. Alright, go back to my side view here, and then using the scale tool, I'm just going to scale these guys down pretty close. Alright, so let's hold down J even and just pull them in so they're exactly where we want them to be. And pull them all so they're lined up pretty well, and then I'm going to hit R. And I'm going to change my tool setting. Why? Because what I want to do is I want these to all squeeze in individually. I don't want them to squeeze in all together, because right now they're going to squeeze in all together, and while that's a really neat looking chair, that's not what we're wanting. So what I want to do is I want to go to my tool set. Alright, enable discrete scale, turn on relative. I want to scale these down by say 0.5. So pull this in, click. Is that about right? That's about right. Okay. So do the next one over here, double click, pull that in, double click, pull that one in, and the last guy, pull him in. Alright. Change these bottoms down here too, so face. Let's change that from a 0.5 to say 0.75 maybe. Let's see what that does. There we go. So that's one tiny scale. Alright, so one click and then we have our basically our feet done. Alright, so I'll reset that back to defaults. So then that's the feet of our chair. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we want to come over here to the cushion, to the seat, and see what we can change on this to make it more fit the way this one's going. Well, the easiest way to do that really is just going to be to come in here and push and pull some vertices. Alright, this is the part that a lot of people just despise about Maya and modeling in general, is when it comes to just pushing and pulling vertices. Well, unfortunately, that's just part of the game, is the pushing and pulling of vertices, and how well you do it, and the faster you get at it, then the better your results will be. Short of using other applications, that's pretty well what it all comes down to. It's just a bunch of pushing and pulling vertices. Alright, so right now I've kind of got this shaped a little bit better, but we're going to need more detail, more level of detail in order to make this thing work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our wonderful insert edge loop, or not insert edge loop tool, and I'm going to come into our area here and add another one here, and I think there's one more right here for the back. I'm going to go ahead and add one more right there, and then when we look at the front, we're going to need one that's going to add up the whole thickways this way. Alright, so that's more than enough geometry added at one time. I actually don't recommend adding that much at one time. What you really need to get in the habit of doing is, I'll go ahead and undo that just to show y'all. What you really want to do is add an edge loop and then do something with it. Then add an edge loop and do something with it. If you create a situation where you add a whole bunch of edge loops, you'll make a mighty fine mess. A mighty fine mess of your model really quickly, because you'll have too much detail, too much geometry going on. The vertices will start overlapping and you'll get lost. So I really recommend just going ahead and adding one edge loop and then fixing it. One little thing I want to show you that I just did is, in this case, I added this edge loop. This edge loop was actually a little off center. All I have to do to fix that, hold down X and then just move it, snap it back in place. Now it's center aligned. So let's go to the little side view here, and let's go back to vertice mode. Start moving some of these little guys. Grab both of those so that I'm kind of working with symmetry. Pull that in. This seat in the middle is kind of going to come down just a little bit. Pull this down a little. Pull that down a little. Let's undo that a minute. Work on both sides at once. Pull these down and pull these up. Okay, for that nice rounded sort of seat. If we look, I'd probably say it's around the front of it. Let's go ahead and do that. Why? Because it'll look a little nicer. So just grab you, grab those there, kind of pull that forward a little bit. So I kind of got a rounded seat there. And then we want to kind of do the back. Okay, so for the back, I come back in with insert edge loop, and then I'm just going to add a one across here, here, and here at the moment. Now they're all a little off, so I can just kind of snap them in. Holding J makes it really helpful. Double click, hold down J, and then snap them, and they'll behave a little better. Alright, so now let's go back to the wonderful world of vertice. Move this up. Oh, so I need one more, so let's add one more right here. There we go. So R, J, scale, W, move into position. Alright, so let's go to vertex, hit R, and just kind of scale these guys in a little bit from each side. Alright, so what does this look like in 3D now? Alright, so model's coming along. Alright, so let's line up the back. Okay, so just going to move these. Right into position. Move these right into position. Alright, now gonna have a little issue here. First issue is that the inside of this chair is a little bit rounded, and the seat back goes a little bit further back. In order to get that effect, we're gonna have to kind of stop staring at our image planes and stop staring at our model in 2D, as it were, and kind of just come in here and work on it. So for example, we know this needs to be curved. Well, to create a curve, you need to have a situation where you have tall pieces on the outside, right? Sort of like this, right? And then you're going to have a little bit of a dip piece here, and then you're going to have a little more of a dip here in the middle. Okay, so you're just going to pull those down so it creates this nice curve, okay, with 4 polygons. Alright, so what I'm going to want to do is come in here with edge and double click all of that, but I just want to single click and then double click there, and that's going to grab just that piece. And do that one more time. Click and then shift double click, and you can grab a column. I'm just going to pull this in like so, and then do this here, here to there. Alright, so I've got these 2 columns here, and then go ahead and just pull them back like that. Okay, helps create that nice rounded shape pretty quickly. Alright, and then I can change anything on the back here that I want to. So for example, if I want to pull this back just a hair bit, a little bit more of a rounded shape. Do the same thing on these pieces here, and these pieces here. I pull those back, and boom, bada bing, there we go. There's our higher poly chair. Okay. Feel free to, once you finish this version of the chair, well, I really think it needs one more right here in the middle, but once you finish this version of the chair, feel free to go ahead and make a duplicate of it and improv your own design on it. Alright, create your own version of the chair. Alright, go ahead, take your time. Again, everything I'd used was just basic extrude in order to get the shape, and then from there I just used insert edge loop and just moved the vertices around in order to create this other second chair. Good luck, have fun.